Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanisms in the game Plateau. This is a print-and-play game, although a very nice print-and-play game. At least this version was produced here by Brown Castle Games. I guess that's where you can get it if you're interested in this laser-cut version with even magnets. It has magnets to seal it tight. This is the top half of the game. I'll show you the bottom half in a second. But it is basically a trick-taking partnership game where your partner or partners changes each round of the game. It will be rather difficult for me to explain entirely how this game works. So I'll brush over it in some broad strokes. The core idea is that each round, all players are dealt a rather large hand of cards. I believe it's 13 cards. And after you look at your cards, you can decide to declare that you think you can accomplish certain goals at certain levels. And this is where one of my favorite mechanisms comes into play, because for each of the goals, and these will make more sense in a second, they're escalating the lower down you go on this list in difficulty, you can choose to have 3 extra cards to use if you are selected to try to accomplish this goal versus not having 3 extra cards. So basically, after all the cards are dealt out, there are 3 extra cards out there on the table that no one knows what they are. They are the type of cards that would normally remain a mystery throughout the round, but you can choose to potentially bring them into your hand. And I think that in itself is really interesting. I don't think I've seen this in a trick-taking style game before, where I've seen many games where you have some cards set aside so you don't have perfect information. But having the choice to maybe earn fewer points, but have access to those cards and actually be able to play them, I think is really cool. So here's the other half of the game, and I'm careful to hold this up because these pieces could spill out of this tray, but this is a really nice laser cut tray here. So there are a ton of pieces set into this tray, and what they are basically saying is that if you are the partner that is selected to try to achieve the goal, and again, I won't go into fully how that works, but I will mention an element of it in a second. But if you are among the partner, the 2 people, maybe even potentially more people, I think. Yeah, you can go up to, no, yeah, there is a trio in a 6-player game, but usually it's a solo or duo goal, a partnership goal. You are trying to connect different sides of this hex by winning certain cards. This spatial element, I think, is really interesting to a trick-taking game. I've seen certain trick-taking games with kind of area control elements where you're trying to win a certain area. Maybe the cards relate to that, like Brian Boru. But in this game, you're trying to connect these sides by winning these cards. So you're trying to, like, say, win the 5th hand that you play. And at some point, you're trying to win the Jack card. And you're trying to win or use and win a hand with the 21 trump card. And you're trying to, like, connect these lines over this board to a certain number of sides based on which trick you're playing and the exact cards that you're winning in that trick. That's just pretty different. All that is different. Like having the trick the exact trick that you're playing, which number it is in the round, having that matter, and just the idea of winning certain cards and having them connected on this spatial grid. It's a lot to look at, but it starts to make sense at least around the second round if you were me. The final element of this game that I think is really, really clever, I keep talking about this partnership element of the game. And you can see on this board, some of these say duo, some say trio. So there are different ways that you can end up competing for points in this game. But the idea here is that the highest bid, so the player who says that they can connect the most number of sides, and with either the 3 extra cards or not 3 extra cards, they will become part of the team or the partnership or the solo player who is trying to accomplish this goal. And another player is often roped into it based on if they're going for a duo element, and based on I think you look at the number of kings they have in their hand or a certain king card that they have in their hand. But here's the little extra twist to that I think is so clever. All of the other players are just by default on the other team at that point. They are then working together to make sure that the 1 player or the 2 players or even the 3 players on the team here, the partnership here, cannot accomplish their goal. They cannot connect these lines the way they said they did. So you're kind of roped into this partnership, but it feels really good because all of a sudden your goal is simply to make this thing not happen, to not let them connect all these lines. And so it's a different type of puzzle. There's the puzzle of winning certain hands to connect the lines on the board, and then there's the puzzle of getting in their way so they can't do it. It is in a way antagonistic. You are preventing them from accomplishing their goal. But this is how you win in the game. If at least for that round, you're trying to win that round by preventing them from accomplishing their goal with a team of players, with a team of other people that varies from round to round. I think those three elements come together in a really interesting way in this game. It's definitely a lot to wrap my mind around when I look at this board. There's a lot going on here. But like I said, by the second round, I started to figure it out, started to enjoy it. And yeah, it's definitely a unique trick-taking game. If you enjoy this style of game, I'd recommend checking it out, take a look, and to learn from some of these mechanisms. If you can think of any other games that have mechanisms similar to this, whether it's the team added to the other, I mean, the kind of the default team where you're just opposing this team who has selected themselves. They put themselves on display. The pressure's on them. Either that or the option to actually use the cards that are normally set aside, or this spatial element in a trick-taking game. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks.